Hi everybody, my name is Jahangir Ashraf.
My name is Charles Parra.
We're from the Proton Exchange Membrane Fuel Cell Battery Group, or PEM Fuel Cell for short. And so the project definition is basically there's three parts. So the fuel cell itself, which we're trying to generate power from it, and then the electrolyzer cell, which we use to produce the hydrogen to feed the fuel cell, and then the solar panel, so we can provide it like a charge or an electric current for the electrolyzer to split apart the water molecules into hydrogen gas and oxygen. And so why fuel cell technology? Basically because there's depletion of petroleum-based energy resources, and also it's really environmentally friendly. The byproduct is water and heat, so most of it's steam. And so for our project, the goals for fall quarter was that we had to research and test the commercial ones that we bought, just to figure out how each thing was working and how each component would fit into one another. And then for winter, what we did was we started fabricating our own cells, and so an electrolyzer and a PEM fuel cell. And then this quarter was to actually test and analyze what we had from last quarter and hopefully optimize it and then combine it into one system. And so the goals for this was to, test the optimization of the cells we created last quarter and make the process self-sufficient, which is to attach the electrolyzer to the fuel cell and the solar panel to the electrolyzer, so we wouldn't have to put any we wouldn't have to buy hydrogen or plug it into a wall or something. We just have our cart ready to go. And also it was to fix any underlying problems that occurred last quarter. And I think Charles and Murdad are going to talk more about that later. And this quarter, our team was structured kind of differently from last quarter because we figured out what worked and what didn't work. And then what did work were weekly meetings, not only between the whole group, but also team lead weekly meetings. So the project manager and the two team leads met together. This quarter we had two teams, which was the electrolyzer and the fuel cell. And each team had about 6 or 7 members in it. And then emailing was also very effective. And also lab hours, each team lead would take a day and hold kind of office hours in labs, and we'd come in and finish whatever we were assigned for that week, and it would get rid of the logging in, logging out, and trust system. What didn't work from last quarter was report summaries, because they get really strenuous to read because there's so many, and there's no way to verify everything on the report summary. And also group texting wasn't that effective, because if you're texting a group, it's hard to have a conversation with one specific person, and so we found that emailing works better than texting. And so here's a breakdown of our team. So Daniel Kafajizad is our project manager, and then on the left, that's the fuel cell team, and on the right, that's the electrolyzer team. Charles Parra was the team lead for fuel cell, and Joseph Sanchez, who isn't here today, was the team lead for electrolyzer. And so we began this quarter, like every quarter, by budgeting what we had. And so we followed what we learned from MA 151, which I'm sure most people in here have taken already. So we gathered our needs, what we needed this quarter, and then we did some research of how are we going to accomplish those needs. And then we assigned, budgeting to each section based on that. And so it's kind of hard to read. So the gray slide, which is the biggest one, goes to the solar panel, because we have to buy panels and the whole cart to mount it on. And then the blue is the fuel cell, and then red is electrolyzer, and yellow is other. And other was mostly material that we could share between the two leads, or the two groups actually, which nuts and bolts and other stuff like that.
So my name is Charles, and for the fuel cell, we actually were searching for tangible ways to increase the efficiency. We found that the geometry of the channels actually made a big difference, and we went with a triangular shaped geometry in order to minimize any losses. We found that the material that we needed to use was graphite. Once we decided on the material and we had our design ready, we started in-house. That's when we ran into some issues with fabrication. As in-house, all the shops in-house, only one of them actually was able to manufacture graphite. So we did outside searching also for quotes to be able to compare prices. and evaluate what was going to be our better choice. We've seen that the prices were relatively similar, and the prices that were lower on the outside sides actually required or had some constraints on it, which were some of them, the time lead was very long, and also the quantity required was high. So what we did is we went back and we searched different ways to manufacture the plates. We found that molding was a cost-efficient way to do it. And as you see, we actually started some of the, this is one of our prototypes here. And you can see that the corners are actually broken. And that's because the material mixture was not properly, it was in up to par of what we needed for the strength. So we recommend that in the future, more research be done on the material mixture in order to have the correct strength and have the proper conductivity of the plates.
So my name is Merdad, and I joined the fuel cell battery project this quarter. I helped the project manager and the team lead mainly with the hands-on stuff such as fabricating new components for the electrolyzer and researching and collecting data from the electrolyzer. So I'm just going to talk about that portion of the system, the overall system. First, the fundamentals of an electrolyzer. An electrolyzer is made out of two metal plates that have holes and gaps in them. We also have an electrolyzer that has a gasket made out of plastic that has a mesh in between, and the outer layers are made out of acrylic see-through plastic, and all of this is sandwiched together, and we feed water solution in the electrolyzer and power the two plates, one with negatively charged and one positively charged. And so the water, H2O, the hydrogen from the water gets attracted to the negative plate, negatively charged plate, and the oxygen from the water gets attracted to the positive plate. So the problems that we faced this quarter, this is just a rundown of the problems, and then in the next slide I'm going to talk about how we dealt with those problems. So running the electrolyzer and making sure that hydrogen separates from oxygen. So we needed to improve somehow that we actually had hydrogen on one outlet and oxygen on the other outlet. So we need a method to actually prove this, and making sure that the designated gases exit the correct outlet hoses. So we didn't want mixed gases to only come out of one hose, so we had to deal with that problem also. In producing consistent data every time we ran testing, we realized that the electrolyzer is very sensitive, and we wanted to minimize all the variables that we didn't want. That we only wanted to change the voltage and the molarity of the solution. So we decided to keep everything constant in the system, and making sure that the electrolyzer produced enough hydrogen to power the fuel cell, because that was ultimately the goal of the fuel cell, to power the fuel cell for it to power, for our case, a fan. So the solutions to the problem. So hydrogen separation from oxygen. We had two methods of actually proving that we produce hydrogen ions only. So the first method was a soap bubble and hydrogen cleaning. So we connect the hose to the hydrogen outlet from on the electrolyzer, and then we have a glass of water and soap, and then we try to make hydrogen soap bubbles. And then we take this glass and we take it away from the system just to be safe, and we light it on fire, and if it ignites, then we know we have hydrogen ions. But for safety reasons, we decided to go with the second method, which is the gas volume measurement. So basically, from basic chemistry, we know that H2O, there's two hydrogen and one oxygen. So if we measure the outlet of the flow rate outlet of the hydrogen, we should have twice the volume as the flow rate outlet of the oxygen. And how we did that was we had a bucket of water, we put two graduated cylinders in it, and then we attached the hose to the outlets and then the graduated cylinders, and we measured the flow rate, the volumetric flow rate of the gases. And then we actually proved that we were getting hydrogen and oxygen for different outlets. And designating gases, gases exiting correct outlets. At first, all of the gases were coming out of one outlet. So what we had to do was to actually provide a plastic film on the top portion of the electrolyzer, which prevented all of the gas from going through one way. So only the oppositely charged gas would go under the film and go to the designated plate, and the other one would go back. So that when we applied that, the whole system ran smoothly. So that took us a while to figure out, and we spent quite amount of time trying to fix that problem. And because system testing and data collecting, like I said, we try to minimize everything. We try to have all the hoses in the same formation, all the fluid level at the same level for every time we test it. And we actually modified the electrolyzer to allow the gases to flow easily through the system. And the way we did that, we just drilled more holes in it and allowed the gases to escape to their designated outlets. So, and this is our very recent, I guess, data collecting. And as you can see, that the hydrogen volume is almost twice as the oxygen volume. And we decided to run the system, the whole system that we're going to show a video of on 9 voltage, because we just want to minimize the energy that we use for the system, so we don't waste energy. And when we put it on higher voltage, the water inside started turning orange, so we thought that it was due to oxidation. And these are our 2 electrolyzers. The top one was built last year, and the bottom one was built last quarter. So the last quarter's electrolyzer produces more hydrogen while needing more electricity because it's bigger. Last year's electrolyzer, since it's smaller, it's a little bit more consistent with the data collecting. And we have a video for you.
So that's our whole setup. We set it up on a cart so it's mobile. That's our solar panel. It powers the electrolyzer, which is right there. And then there's 2 outlets. One side is hitting off the hydrogen, and then we connected that to the fuel cell, which is over there, right there. That's the fuel cell we used. And then we connected it to a small fan, and it was able to generate enough electricity to start the fan. That's our voltmeter. That's how much voltage was coming out.
Okay, so for the project solution, we recommend that a grad student be searched for in order to help not only guide the project, but also help supervise with the storing the hydrogen that we're actually producing for the electrolyzer. We think that once we're actually able to store the hydrogen, we can actually expand the fuel cell and make it into a fuel stack. And we think that this system could be implemented into hydrogen filling stations for fuel cell cars. And also we think that this could be used for at homes and or in the residential area to not only fuel cars, but also provide electricity for homes in case of an emergency outage.
Thank you.